All right, what's going on, guys? Hope you guys are all doing well. I'm currently on vacation. Check out this view. Got some birds flying. My only fear is that they hopefully don't take the camera, mistake that as food, but nonetheless, we're here to talk about specifically the men's freestyle Olympic trials results on just like the championships and our United States representatives for the Paris Olympics. So because it's the Olympics, unlike the 10 weights they have for basically the World Championships, of course, every 4 years the Olympics come up, they have 6 weights. So instead of like 10 weights, you have 6. And this makes a lot of like super good guys in the same bracket. For instance, you know, you got Jordan Burroughs, you got Kyle Dake, how stacked 125 was. I mean, every weight stacked. And starting off with 57 kilograms, Spencer Lee took out Thomas Gilman in 2 straight matches. In fact, every single one of the champs didn't even need to go to a match 3. It was all just 2 matches in a row. Like that was the guy to represent us, and there's probably, you know, it's just clear that guy should be the one representing the United States. So Spencer finally beat Gilman, and this is basically just like a whole, I'd say his breakout tournament, right? He's been hurt for, you know, we know that kind of forever, ever since high school and stuff, and he's been phenomenal on the college scene. And now, of course, it's just been like, okay, how healthy is Spencer? Is he really ready to go? Can he be the guy for the Olympics, for the World Championships? Nonetheless, he gets it done, and just in dominant fashion. I mean, he looked absolutely phenomenal. And it's interesting too, because when we had Stevan Micic on the podcast, he was the returning world champion, of course, for Serbia. He did not think that Spencer Lee would even, like, you know, crack the top 4, top 5 guys. There was always, you know, like, and of course Vito wasn't even wrestling because he really couldn't make the weight for, you know, the tournament. But I mean, clearly, like, Spencer is that guy, and it's gonna be crazy if we can even see a Micic versus Lee in the finals. That could be insane. And also, I do want to touch up on just the youngins of the tournament, right? The high schoolers. And at 57 kilograms, specifically, who I'm going to kind of mention here, you got Marcus Blaze, you got Jax Forrest. Jax Forrest, you know, almost beating Thomas Gilman. And for Thomas Gilman to, again, you know, being very, very competitive with Lee, it would have been so cool to see a Jax Forrest versus Spencer Lee. But nonetheless, I mean, Forrest battled back to that 3rd place match, but that was denounced to Marcus Blaze, who beat Luke Lillidahl, and then he ends up beating Jax Forrest again. And I mean, Blaze just was going off as well. And I'll tell you what, for this next like Olympic cycle, given they stay at kind of that low weight of 57 kilograms, I mean, United States wrestling it's so good. But going up to 65 kilograms, this would be my weight. This is 143 pounds. Zane Rutherford beats Nick Lee in 2 straight matches again. Now this one is kind of interesting too, because I think there was some beef just on Twitter about how, you know, Mendez, he was just killing through the tournament. I think he was like the 11th seed, but you know, he beat James Green. He was just beating guys. And then he gets up with Zane Rutherford, who basically had, you know, a bye to the semifinal and where he was fresh. And it was a very, very close, very competitive match, and Rutherford got the job done, solidifying, if that's the word, his spot into the finals. Now, one thing that was crazy is when Nick Lee beat Andrew Liras. Andrew Liras, I know, is so good at freestyle, but Nick Lee really showed up at that weight. It's a tough position to have basically, you know, the same guy in your team competing for that Olympic spot, but Zane got the job done there. Even at that weight too, you got Yanni, you got Seth Gross, even, you know, Larkin kind of made a statement there versus Yanni as well. And just how competitive United States wrestling is, you know, Yanni got 2nd in the world a couple years ago, and now he didn't even, you know, make, you know, even the finals of the Olympic trials. But Zane in his own right is a world champion, so, you know, I think I'm, you know, pretty happy about how that's hopefully gonna play out. Now going up to 74 kilograms, Kyle Dake beats Jason Nolf. This weight was a little crazy, and there is actually probably more drama outside of the finals than we have in the finals. But I do want to say that I didn't even know this at the time, and you know, it was really just kind of heartbreaking to hear about, but being like really happy for Dake and his whole family that his dad, Kyle's dad, died a week before the trials. And I'm getting like chills talking about it, but I mean, it was clear that this was such a hard time for him, and not even just wrestling, but in life general. And one thing he said was, it makes you put things into perspective about how much wrestling, you know, is a game, that there is so much more important stuff, you know, other than wrestling. And you can have a guy that, you know, basically has won it all and has, you know, won so many world titles, 4 national titles, and he's like, his family's that number one most important thing. So I was just really happy for him to end up winning it, and of course, you know, being with his family and stuff and seeing that, you know, wishing them the best, of course, but that's really tough to hear, and it really just, you know, it's That's life. But on the flip side of that too, Jordan Burroughs was in this weight. A lot of people wanted to see that Dake versus Burroughs matchup, but people were saying Burroughs might not even have a chance at making the finals, in which he doesn't. He had to face a ton of Nittany Lion wrestling guys, and he beat Alex Facundo. Then he faced Mitchell Messenbrake, and this is where things kind of got a little crazy. Messenbrake getting in his face, kind of just, I'd say trying to get his go a little bit. And of course, it's like getting Jordan to like make mistakes. It's playing these mind games, getting these little wins during the wrestling match, which is, it's pretty interesting. And, you know, we saw like the crowd just like, you know, boo Burroughs, and there was a lot of Burroughs hate in the tournament, which a lot of people are just saying uncalled for, while like the Penn State Nittany Lion fans that were there were just, you know, going off on him, which, oh, I don't know, doing that to the GOAT of wrestling, I don't know if that was the wisest decision. So the question is, will Burroughs, you know, be back? And I think he will be back for this next, you know, World Championship run. That's, I believe that is later this fall. But like we're into the last years of some of these well-known wrestlers that have been around forever. It's like the circle of life will continue, and these new guys are gonna come up. There's always gonna be someone else chasing your tail, and it's a vicious cycle. Going up to 86 kilograms, this was crazy. You got the pound for pound GOAT of wrestling. You got David Taylor losing to Aaron Brooks. Straight, fresh out of college, 4 national titles, Hodge Trophy, now he's on the Olympic team. Regardless, I think whoever was gonna win this 86 kilogram is gonna like win the Olympics. And of course you got, you know, Yazdani and all those guys, but I think all those top guys at 86 kilograms, it's like so much in that weight. Guys are training with each other every single day in the wrestling room. And I said this on the podcast a while ago about how Brooks could be the greatest wrestler of all time because of the position he's in. So not only is he a phenomenal wrestler, 4-time national champion, but look at the room. He's in Penn State. He has all those practice partners. Even, you know, now he's got Dake, you know, he still has Taylor. The possibilities are endless, and that guy is hungry. He's ready for success. Of course, more than he already has. And for him just to really get the job done on Taylor, not being taken down by David in 2 straight matches, I mean, he clearly made some statements. And another thing too, when Conor Mirasola faced up against Brooks, Brooks hasn't been, I don't think he was taken down the entire college season. And then Conor actually, you know, took him down. Was a competitive match against Aaron Brooks. And I mean, one thing too, I mean, come this next 4 years, this next trials, and whatever the future holds for, you know, Conor, it's very, very impressive. And you know, what I commented on his post is I'm riding the Sola stock. So Cole and Conor, they're some menaces, and they're gonna do some damage. So, but nonetheless, Brooks takes the cake at 86 kilograms, and that was I think the biggest upset for me. 97 kilograms, Kyle Snyder versus Isaac Trumbull. Kyle Snyder again just remains like the cream of the crop at 97 kilograms. I think one thing I do want to say is he has so much pairs of Kyle Snyder shoes out. I'm not sure how many colorways, but he's probably getting up there competitive with Burroughs to seeing how many shoes that he has sold, because, you know, I think I have like 3 pairs of Kyle Snyder shoes. Yeah, just a real humble guy, family oriented, and he's just him at this point. I mean, I'm not too exactly sure if he'll have Sadulayev because of the whole like the Russian in the war, he can't wrestle type deal. But of course, hopefully Kyle does win. But, you know, on the other side of the bracket, J'den Cox actually retired. He was a guy always competitive on the world scene, super fun watching him wrestle and, you know, winning world title. And another thing I do want to say about J'den too is when I was doing this whole social media on wrestling, this was in high school, he was really the first well-known, like, senior level, like, good wrestler that actually, like, he gave me like the time of day. Basically, I did a video, it was like DMing wrestlers like for some moves and tips, and he ended up coming on like my channel. We did like a 20-minute podcast when I was in high school, super bad quality, but it was like a super fun podcast. And it was like so crazy that you got a guy with this, you know, accomplishments, and I'm like filming a video with him, which is crazy. And he actually hosted a wrestling camp at Akron, and I went there, and, you know, he just said like, yeah, come down to Colorado Springs and we can film and we can, you know, wrestle. And I'm like, I was so in a space where I wasn't ready for that. And at that time, and I don't know if I was scared or just not worthy. And, you know, of course I didn't even have money at that time to even travel or do anything. I don't know. But one thing I do want to say is, he really made me believe in myself too, that I could really, I guess, take YouTube and wrestling to a new level. And so I do want to just credit J'den for that, and on just a phenomenal career. Finally, 125 kilograms, Mason Paris versus Hayden Zillmer. And Mason Pears takes the cake. Just like all the others, takes it in 2 straight matches. Again, that was a guy who medaled on the world stage going into the Olympics. He's feeling fresh in that Michigan room, and Michigan has a whole ton of guys as well. They're really like solidifying themselves like in a way better position, I think, than they have in years past, of course. And even they have 2 other guys wrestling in the Olympics for 2 different countries. You got Miles Amin, you got Austin Gomez. They're there as well. So he's in the room with these guys kind of training to go for that same Olympic title as he is. You want to be on the vlog? Yeah. Shout out to Kelsey.
Oh gosh, you can't even see me.
We're talking about 125 kilograms.
Pardon this interruption for a shout out to me to letting you watch wrestling on our vacation.
That is so true. That is so true. We're on vacation to get away from wrestling, to get away from work, and Kelsey let me watch it, and she bought Peacock for me so I could watch it. So thank you.
And I took the long length of the drive in the mountains while I'm like sitting there and grabbing the steering wheel, like nervous, like looking around, and he's there shouting about wrestling, and I jump every time.
That is true. We appreciate Kelsey. Kelsey in the comments. So what I was gonna say is that, Gable winning the last Olympics at that weight, whatever his, decision was, and of course he's so involved with the WWE, but it's like, I wish the WWE, if that's the case, would have let him wrestle in the trials to repeat that cycle. You're only in your prime of your wrestling for so long, and accomplishing something as crazy as Olympic gold. Like, you won it once, but it's like, can you do it twice? And maybe we'll never see that from Gable, but nonetheless, I think the main point of this video is like the circle of life will continue. I think nonetheless, there's always someone else on your tail, or someone else chasing something higher, and age comes so fast, and you'll never know it until you reach it. Like, even me going into like my last year, and I look back and I see all these high schoolers having this success. So I'm like, and I like kind of envy those guys of like, okay, why wasn't I having that success? What could I have, done differently? And life will play out, but that should turn a fire on inside of you to, reevaluate where you're at in your life and where your goals are, and what really do you want to accomplish? But I'm looking forward to seeing these guys compete in the Olympics. And of course, this was just like the men's freestyle. I could talk about, the women's freestyle and the Greco team. I mean, congrats to everyone there. It's going to be super fun watching and cheering for everyone going for Olympic gold. We'll have to talk about that on a future podcast here. But thanks guys so much for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed. Shout out to the patrons. If you did want to get better at wrestling, just with the Online Wrestling Academy, there's no better place to go than the Purler Online Wrestling Academy. This is something I've used. I've used a Purler system in videos ever since like before middle school, and that's been really beneficial in my training. And you can take $50 off your purchase using code Cayden. So if you want to check out, that's linked in the description below. But thanks for watching. See you guys later.